All right, let's jump right in. We're about to tackle one of the most complicated, tangled topics you can possibly imagine, consciousness. But here's the twist. We're not going to try to solve it. Nope. Instead, we're going to do something way more fundamental. We're going to build a new, shared language so we can actually start having a real conversation about it.
So why do we even need a new language? Well, it's because right now, the entire debate is just stuck. It's trapped in this frustrating loop, and honestly, it's going absolutely nowhere fast.
I mean, think about it, right? Every single time people start discussing it, it feels like they end up in the exact same spot. You have different sides just talking right past each other. It's less of a debate and, more of a permanent stalemate.
This quote from the source material just nails it. It perfectly captures the problem. It's like we're all in a giant, dark room with our own little flashlights, yelling about the shadows we see on the wall. Everyone's convinced their shadow is the real deal, but nobody's actually looking at the object that's casting them. We're not even talking about the same thing.
And here is the absolute heart of the problem. It's a logical trap. We keep trying to define consciousness with words like experience or subjectivity, but those words already assume consciousness exists to begin with. You can't define a thing using the thing itself. It's no wonder the conversation just goes round and round in circles.
So, to break out of that loop, we need to build something from the ground up, a totally new foundation. We need to forge what the source calls a terms treaty, basically a shared set of definitions that are super rigorous that everyone can agree to before the real discussion even begins.
And that's really the key thing to get here. The goal isn't to stand up and declare, this is the ultimate truth about consciousness. Not at all. The goal is to build a new language, a new toolkit. We're creating a map, not the territory itself, but a map that might finally let us have a more productive journey.
So what are the rules for this new language? Well, the idea is to start with the simplest, most fundamental building blocks you can imagine, define them with absolute precision, and then build a framework that isn't dogmatic. It doesn't force you to pick a side. It's meant to be a kind of meta lens, a tool that helps us see how all these different viewpoints might actually fit together.
Okay, so let's get into the first and maybe most important building block of this new lexicon. We have to start with the word that probably causes the most confusion of all, awareness. And here it is. This is our new foundation, completely stripped of all the philosophical baggage. Awareness is simply a ready state to receive information. That's it. It's clean, it's simple, and it's not trying to be more than it is.
To put it another way, which I think makes it even clearer, just think of it as receptive openness. This has nothing to do with thinking or feeling or being self-aware. It's way, way more fundamental than that. It's just, is the channel open to receive information? Yes or no? That's it.
Okay, now hang on, because this is where the idea gets really, really mind-bending. This framework proposes that this receptive openness is a fundamental property of everything. The source goes so far as to state, every quanta has awareness. That means every single subatomic particle, the tiniest possible building blocks of our reality, has this basic ability to be in a ready state.
And this table here is a great way to see how this idea scales up. So you might ask, is a rock aware? Well, according to this framework, yeah, but in a very, very simple way. It has incredibly low data intake, no real feedback loop. But a cat is just a fire hose of data intake, constantly processing it in a complex feedback loop. So the type of awareness is the same, that receptive openness, but the complexity is just worlds apart.
So, now that we have a solid grip on awareness, let's move to our second core concept, consciousness. And it is absolutely critical that we understand how different these two terms are in this new framework.
This slide right here is so important for getting it right. Awareness, our receptive openness, that's a property that things within the universe have, and it exists on a sliding scale of complexity. But consciousness, in this framework, consciousness is a singular property of the universe itself. It's one thing.
The key here is that this framework defines consciousness not as a personal attribute, but as a singular, universal field. Now, the source uses some pretty poetic language, calling it something that belongs to God, the top of the infinite fractal. Don't get too hung up on the specific words. The core idea is that it's a name for the all-encompassing reality that contains literally everything.
You know, a good way to think about it is like this. Consciousness is a universal substrate, like gravity or electromagnetism. It's not something you have, it's something you exist in. It's the background field that allows for there to be something it is like to be a thing at all. So we humans have awareness, but we exist within consciousness.
And I absolutely love this analogy from the source material.
It just makes the whole concept click into place. Consciousness is the song, and it's playing everywhere, all at once. Our individual awareness, whether you're a person or a rock, is just the radio, tuning into that broadcast at different levels of complexity. The song is the constant, the radio, well, the radio's optional.
So, we've defined our two core terms, awareness and consciousness. But why does any of this matter? What's the point? Well, because this way of reframing things allows for something pretty profound, a great unification of totally different worldviews.
Let's just walk through that logic one more time so it really sinks in. 1. We start as small as possible. Every quantum particle has a basic receptive openness. 2. That awareness scales up in complexity as you get more particles and feedback loops. And 3. All of it, every rock, every cat, every person, exists inside one singular universal field of consciousness.
And this, right here, is the ultimate payoff. This framework doesn't make you choose between science and spirituality, or materialism and idealism. It reframes them all as just different projectors, describing the exact same underlying reality, just from different angles. It creates a space for us to synthesize ideas, not fight over them.
Which, of course, leaves us with one final, absolutely fascinating question to chew on. If every single thing in the universe, all the way down to the tiniest particle, is basically a receiver in a ready state, then what or who is broadcasting the signal?